How much do you air out or?
Oh, I stack it all like this. No. So the Smithsonian Institute recommends freezing it. And we take it out. And a freezer that self-defrosts.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have tears in my eyes.
So
I just think it's funny every better and Google for this.
well, I Googled how to
Save that.
cover, say what documents.
We had our window leak up there and I had a bunch of paperwork sitting on the windowsill when it got soaked. And I looked through it and I'm like, they're in the shredder.
I've already thrown bunches.
Yeah.
That was like,
It was 2 years old and I'm like, I haven't needed it for 2 years.
Exactly.
None of it.
what's it, most of that stack was mostly like time off request, stuff like that. That probably should keep in case it's quite.
I need most of that documented on the computer.
Yeah, but not there. So I'm actually,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna go. I was thinking about going electronic version of doing that anyway through Outlook. And I think we're just gonna solve it.
They're just,
That question.
you guys all probably saw the unofficial election results on the website.
I see that.
How did it turn out?
So in the city of Carroll, local option passed. The rec center failed. And ICAM Manning, it passed in Carroll County overwhelmingly, but overall it failed.
So Courtney, we have to wait to certify that until the other counties have to report to us first.
Well, no, we'll do it on Monday and we'll certify Carroll's and we'll certify our results for ICAM Manning and we'll give those to Shelby County because they're the control county.
They are.
They are, yes.
Huh. All right, this is going to be a little different today. I can't remember if I've led one from home or not, but we're going to make an attempt at it. First thing I'd like, let's just, Stephanie, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Flag, it's for America. And the republic
For which it stands,
One nation under
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get the meeting started. Courtney had a request for a change on the agenda, and it was the Vote Safe Iowa through the CARES Act for funding for changes we have to make in our voting process. So I would like to make a motion that we add that to the agenda before we approve the agenda.
Also move.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda with the addition on the Vote Safe Iowa CARES Act piece. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Okay. The minutes for Monday, August 31st.
I didn't
have
see
re-
any. I didn't
Go
see
ahead.
anything in the minutes that needed correcting. They thought they read well. I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I would second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes for August the 31st. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed, motion carries. Okay, let's go ahead while Ray's here. Ray, you want to go ahead and lead us down the path of the update and the proposals?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I
Good
see-
morning.
It sounds like you can hear me okay. You should have in front of you a copy of our current planning report. And we've got quite a few items in here to talk about and, of course, seeking your approval. Item number 1 is electrical service for the Coon Rapids and Lanesboro tower sites, and along with the generator at Coon Rapids. And we had prepared an RFP, request for proposal, and issued it both locally, and we sent it out to some contractors, vendors that work on these sorts of things for tower sites. And as noted here, the Coon Rapids Tower site needs approximately 100 feet of underground service from an existing meter panel on the corner of the property, along with the 25 kW propane generator. And Lanesboro has approximately 100 feet of power secondary from the power pole that's across the street. And we had initially assumed overhead service, but the local folks at Schessler Electric talked to the power company and recommended underground. So we did receive 2 proposals, one from Schessler, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and the other from Trillium Tower, what do they call themselves? Tower Development. They're up here in Minnesota, and they're actually a company we've done quite a bit of work with before. And as you can see, there was a significant difference in the price between the 2 proposals. And the Schessler proposal was pretty close to what we had budgeted for in our work. A little bit over, but otherwise pretty close. The Trillium proposal was rather off the charts, and we did contact them to find out what the story there was. And they're not an electrical contractor, they're a tower site contractor. So they had teamed up with an electrical contractor up here in Minnesota that apparently is licensed to do work in Iowa. But by the time they put all their numbers together and, whatever additional overhead and so forth, they came up with a number that was obviously unacceptable. But fortunately, we did get a proposal from the local folks there. We certainly had hoped for more proposals, but it does sound like everybody was already busy before the storms came through. So it is what it is. But again, fortunately,
No color.
Pardon?
No, never mind. Just my phone going off.
Oh, okay. So we've got primarily the Schessler proposal to review. And I guess I'll ask, are there any questions on this electrical service proposal?
So are we not going to need a generator up at Lanesboro, or is there one there ready?
That's a very good question, Gene. No, there's not a generator there today. And excuse me, what Jason and I had been and the Motorola folks had been planning for was these excuse me, these sites run off of a large battery pack supplied by Motorola. And the battery pack that was purchased for Manning is not going to be needed because the Manning site already had one. So we were going to double up the battery packs at Lanesboro, which would provide extra capacity. excuse me.
Bless you.
But Jason and I have been debating this a little bit because those battery packs will not run the air conditioning units at Lanesboro. So we're undecided at Lanesboro. However, the battery packs have not been shipped from Motorola, and they are expensive. And frankly, we're debating whether if we get a credit from Motorola for one of those battery packs, and it's a large 7-foot rack with batteries and rectifiers and all kinds of stuff, it may actually be equal to the value of a smaller generator at the Lanesboro site. So, we'll just say that's up in the air at this point, but we need the electrical service either way. So, any other questions on this?
Ray, will the bus bar that for the grounding, will this electrician have enough experience for that, or will Motorola or yourself provide some expertise on the way it's laid out? Because that potential is a big deal on the bus bar. But the highest potential has to come first, and those kind of things. So,
Okay. Well, to answer that, we've separated the grounding work from the electrical work, and we'll talk about that next. So
Okay.
the bus bar and so forth is not actually part of the electrical proposal.
okay.
That's an excellent question. All right. Well, I'll move on
So
to the.
I have one more question. So how are we heating these buildings then?
So the Manning building has already got a heating system in it.
Right.
In fact, heating's not the problem, it's cooling.
Okay.
Is the heat generated by these things. So the Lanesboro site, in fact, it's item number 3 on our list here, is to add some wall-mounted HVAC units. But the Coon Rapids site, the shelter that we recently purchased, already has these units on it.
Okay, so that you can heat and cool.
Correct.
Okay, so if you were to put a generator in at Lanesboro, would this be a LP then, generator?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a tank there?
No, not today.
Okay. All right, I'm done. Thanks.
All right. All right, moving on. Item number 2, tower site R56 grounding and antenna cable support hardware for all 3 sites. All of these sites need this grounding work added, and in the report, we included a couple diagrams to give you an idea of what this looks like. As you can imagine, lightning is a huge problem at tower sites. So the Motorola actually years ago developed what they call the R56 standards. And it is an industry standard that is pretty much followed by everyone now when developing the sites. So, and it's a fair amount of work. And I'll skip the details here. I think you had a chance to look at that. But so that's why we issued a separate RFP, because some electrical contractors are familiar with and comfortable with this, and others are not. Trillium, the folks we mentioned earlier, frankly, that's their specialty. And they did a bunch of work for us over in Boone County a couple of years ago when we were developing their sites. They submitted the only proposal we received, and the pricing that they had included was pretty close to what we had budgeted for. In fact, one of the Manning was actually less than we had budgeted, and the other ones were a little higher. And this is their specialty. Again, checking with other contractors that do this work, and frankly, I want to say there aren't a lot. There's a few out there that do this stuff, but everybody's busy. And fortunately, the proposal from Trillium meets the requirements of the project and so forth, and the pricing is about right. So we're recommending that the contract be awarded to them. in that number 2 category, you'll see it says other miscellaneous work. And there's a few other things that need to be done. At Manning and at Lanesboro, we need some overhead cable ladders installed. Bless you. That, as it would indicate, to route the cabling overhead, all the equipment and over to the walls of the building and so forth. And we're working with the Manning folks and their supplier to purchase some of that stuff. And frankly, a couple of those things we might just handle ourselves. So not a huge deal there. So anyway, the pricing from Trillium, as you can see here, the total is just over $36,000 for that equipment and services. Any questions about this element of the project?
So is this about the amount that you had budgeted?
Yes, it's pretty close. It's a little bit over, but it's generally pretty close. Okay, moving on, item number 3. And Dean, this I guess goes to the question you were asking earlier. We need to purchase a couple of these wall-mounted HVAC units for the Lanesboro Tower site. And they're a fairly specific item. There's several manufacturers that make these things. Company called Bard, Marv Air, and some others as well. So we shopped around a little bit to try and get pricing on a couple of these, and these particular units are what they call 3-ton. And we did check with Van Meter, the local supplier that Jason had mentioned. They were unable to obtain these. And in my work with other counties and so forth, we've had to purchase these. And so we've shopped around a little bit. And the proposal that we've got on the table here is from a company out of Plano, Texas, who actually has them in stock. And what we found with some of the other vendors, or suppliers, I should say, they can get them, but there's a 5 to 6 week delivery time because they don't actually have them in stock. When you place the order, then they place the order from the manufacturer. And apparently it's a busy time in the HVAC business. So anyway, this company does have them in stock. So the price for 2 of them with shipping is a little over $8,600. And that was in our budget, and it's actually a little bit under budget from what we had included $10,000 in the budget for these. The installation of them is included in the existing contract with Schroeder Construction for the Lanesboro building. And then the electrical wiring for them is included in the electrical proposal.
Are these Bard units in, Ray?
Correct.
They've been at it a long time.
Yes, indeed. In fact, if you walk up to any one of these prefabricated shelters at a cellular site, look up, there's a good chance that's the brand you'll see on the side of the building. The other comment here, Lanesboro Tower building remodeling. Jason had sent out some pictures and so forth to all of you, but the work there Schroeder did a very nice job, and we're very, very happy with the outcome of the work there.
Yeah, I was very impressed with that. I thought he did a wonderful job, and he did it pretty quickly too, as I
Very
recall.
quickly. In fact, as Jason had indicated, it's kind of funny when once the building was insulated and had a ceiling and so forth, you go in there when it's 85 or 90 degrees, and it's I don't know, 15, 20 degrees cooler inside the building, even though there's no HVAC. But part of that is also probably due to that building has some kind of basement underneath it that's been filled in, and I'm sure the cool air is wicking up out of the ground or from underneath with that. But nonetheless, turned out well. Item number 4 then is the just an update on the Coon Rapids Tower Shelter, or that prefabricated building that was purchased. And again, Jason had sent out an update with some pictures, including me standing with cows, which is not something I'm used to doing. But things went well. We had, of course, the concrete pad in place. Can't remember the name of the local contractor, but they did a very nice job. And things went pretty much as planned. So, and the shelter itself is in extremely nice condition. It's clean, which is important. Every once in a while we get them and the mice have been in them and so forth, but this one is super clean and obviously requires some updates, but it's going to work out well. Any questions on any of that? All right. So, obviously we're seeking approval on all these things, but I included a budget summary here, a budget update, I guess. And if you go back to March of this year, we had an estimated cost of $146,000 for these and the other things that we've already approved. We're a little over budget. As noted here, the items on the table today pretty much wrap up the significant purchases required for all of these tower sites and so forth. We're going to end up between 165 and 170 by the time we're done here. And part of that is due to the electrical work at Lanesboro. In the past, bringing the electrical service in from the pole, in my experience, has been included in the contract with the electrical provider, if it's Mid-American or whoever, and then it gets recovered in your monthly costs and so forth, which is not the case here. In fact, in Fremont, Nebraska, where we're doing one, it's outside of Fremont. I can't remember the power company there, but they charged a one-time fee of $8,700. But if your total electric bill over the next 3 years meets or exceeds $8,700, you get the money back. So I guess every power company has its own way of doing things. And again, we had to go underground instead of overhead, which might end up being a cost savings instead of setting power poles. I don't know, but ultimately, we're a little bit over budget here. However, Jason and I were looking back at things from last fall when this project was approved, and one of the things that we're not spending money on that was in that original budget is $90,000 over 15 years for leasing the Litterdale Tower site, which also would have required a number of these items anyway. So I guess from a high level perspective, we feel that it's either a wash or we actually are still money ahead in the long run. So with that being said, I'll turn it back to you for comment and hopefully action on these items.
Do we want to handle these three different proposals and motions? Rich, you think? Or Courtney?
I think you could make a motion and include each of the proposals in the motion.
But list them separately then.
Well, there are going to be three or four different bills that will eventually come. So I'm okay doing with a package, I guess, and then list them out. Or if you want to attack them one at a time, I'm good either way.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve Schessler for the work at Lanesboro for $15,657.70, and Schessler for the Coon Rapids site for $28,856.49, and for the Lanesboro Coon Rapids Manning for the grounding and bridge work to Triumph for $36,020, and to authorize the purchase of the HVAC units from ISC sales of Texas for $8,608.
I'll
That cover.
second that. Go
Okay,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead, Dean.
I was just gonna second that motion.
That's fine. Ray, that covers everything that you know of, right, Ray?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor with a second. Any more discussion on that?
Ray has a
Okay.
question.
Go ahead, Ray.
You asked if there was anything else, and under item 2, we talked about those miscellaneous items. For example, the overhead cable racking that we're just going to purchase from the supplier that Manning uses. Do we need to include that at this point in this motion?
That'll be an expenditure that will have to come to us for payable. So yes, how much was that again?
It was a maximum of 10,000.
You want that in the motion also, Ray?
Yeah, you could amend it just to say in miscellaneous work at the Manning site, not to exceed 10,000.
Okay, all right. I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
Dean, you okay with that on the second on that?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second with that little caveat change for all these sites. So all at one time, I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in question, all those in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. All right, Ray, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Are we still looking at end of October for testing yet?
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. It's a rough estimate right now. I know, the paper reported that after the questions that I got for the tower work photos that are from Coon Rapids, but that's a rough guesstimate on when we might be able to start testing the system. Motorola will be testing the system and the sites as they're on air, coverage testing, that sort of thing. But it's going to be weather dependent and all that kind of stuff. But those are nuances that don't always make it into the report. So,
But we're kind of pressed by the foliage on the trees. Isn't that correct? That we want to get that done.
that was our goal. I think we're going to miss that. But Ray and I have
Really
discussed that. And Ray, your feeling on the coverage testing as far as how much value there is for the coverage on the trees and stuff?
Good question, good point. Frankly, the expected performance on this system is high enough that it's probably not going to make a difference. In Boone County, the minimum performance is 95% coverage, which is the same here. Boone came in at 98.7, as I recall. So, it's not just the foliage on the trees, but it's some of the crops in the field too, actually have some impact. But I really don't think it's going to matter the way this thing's designed.
By us moving to Lanesboro, that has probably going to really increase. That was being our question whole point anyway. That had a lot of question behind it. The rest of the sites were some hills, but when you get down to the foliage, work along that river basin, that was probably our biggest
Right.
hurdle.
Yeah, and the Lanesboro site's going to fill in that whole area up there. So I'd be surprised if it comes out anything less than 97 or 98%. So
Would have been great to at least get the Lanesboro one up to see what happens to us up there.
well,
That would have been nice. Maybe we still can meet at least one of them. Maybe.
we're trying. In fact, Jason, is it this week or next week that Motorola is going to actually start moving some of the repeater equipment into the sites?
They're scheduled to move stuff into some of the sites today. So in Manning and the 2 state-owned district sites, whose shelters are essentially ready to go, They're moving stuff in there today and tomorrow. They're scheduled to do their work in there. You know,
We're trying to move forward with whatever we can.
yeah,
Yep.
and the foliage on the trees and that sort of thing, that's just an interest, and the state wanted to do that too. It's just making it the most difficult possible scenario for the testing, because that's advantageous to us. But you know, historically, Motorola does build in quite a bit of cushion on their coverage maps and things like that. So I do think we're going to be okay. It's just that was a goal that we set, just to try to make it the most difficult that we could. Just isn't going to happen. The leasing process and things like that took much longer than we anticipated, and that was kind of guided by the other parties, not us. So.
Very good.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Have a
Thanks,
great
Ray.
day. Okay, is Zach there today?
Yep.
Yes.
Morning, Zach.
Morning.
Morning, Zach.
Got a couple things today. First one is utility permit for managing municipal utilities. What this is getting a natural gas line south out of town to about 3 different properties that they're wanting to hit. It really, the part that involves us would be from the Templeton city limits going south to 141. And then there's about 3 road crossings that they'll be popping across. Otherwise, they're going to be on private property where they're installing this line everywhere else. I think you hopefully got my email, got the map of where that's at. But basically going south and then east of Templeton. I think this has been in the works for managing municipal utilities for a while, and they've kind of finally got all the I's dotted and T's crossed. So it'd be Eden Township, and there's about 5 sections that it encompasses: section 18, 21, 22, 27, and 26. Did talk about depth and where it's going. I don't think that will cause any issues. They're boring all the intersections as well as some of the areas to the north there. I believe they are going to try to trench or open cut some of the area going south out of Templeton where they can, but they'll be boring the rest.
So the line itself is about 4 miles then.
I believe so. Yep.
And
So go ahead, Gene.
they're providing a 6-inch all the way.
That was what I was told. I believe they're using 6, and I don't know if they ever extend on. That way they can go further. That really hasn't been talked about, but I'm assuming that's what their intent would be.
Okay.
So where it looks like it runs parallel to the county road there, is that in private property or is that in the county right away?
So going south out of Templeton, they're in the county right away, where they're going to be in the back slope. There is some power there right now, we're basically at the fence line, so they're going to stay in front of that. So, but they will be in the right of way down to 141, and then obviously they'll cross 141 and be in state right away, And then everywhere else they're going is on private property, other than a board across the roads as you're going east.
Okay,
So do you know, do they have the easements for all those private properties already?
I believe so. I think they've gotten agreements on those. I haven't seen them, but I believe that's what's they've been working on over the last year. Because I think all the properties that they're crossing are getting served. So I think that's why it's working out. It's not too big a deal. They're working on making sure they're crossing in the right areas and fixing tile lines and all those kinds of things. I know that's been discussed. So, but I believe that's all been taken care of.
I mean, not that that's a concern of ours, but I just was kind of curious.
That's what I've been told, is that that's all been worked out. And part of the reason I think this has started maybe, I don't know, maybe even up to 18 months ago, but that's what's taken some time, is working out those details.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion for approval of that utility permit.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. Any more discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, get a DOT, leave that there and I'll sign that too.
Okay.
When I'm in to sign some other stuff from Courtney.
Okay.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Yep. DOT agreement.
So this is the DOT standard agreement that we do every time we do use any kind of swap funds, now is what we're calling them, whether it's for a bridge or for surface transportation dollars, which this one's the surface transportation dollars. So this is the agreement with the DOT that we're gonna let this within 3 years of signing this agreement, and we're gonna follow their terms and whatnot on securing this project and going through the letting process, which we will, because we're going through the DOT letting. Again, this is for the Dedham Willie Road from basically Highway 30 south to Dedham. So but this is $750,000 worth of our surface transportation block grant dollars is what we're using. And that's what this funding agreement basically talks about. Lots of, I guess, the general requirements and everything of that's in here and going through the Region 12, but none of that is different than what it has been. It's the same form as what they've used for years. So I'm sure you've all seen those. I guess, do you have any questions regard to this?
So how far into Dedham does this go? Does this go to the railroad, or does it go to 141, or?
We're going to go basically to the past the railroad tracks south to the, I guess it'd be the second bridge right before you get into town. That's what this project is covering. What we're looking at doing at some point in time is a possible local project to get the rest of the way through Dedham that hasn't been resurfaced as well, but not making it part of this larger project.
Do you anticipate any issues with the railroad?
I guess it depends which one too, because there's two of them we're going to be dealing with. The one there in Dedham.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Those tracks, that has been redone recently, and it actually is in pretty good shape. It's relatively smooth, and we'll probably be able to stay out of the railroad right away completely right there. The railroad tracks just south of the country club, the UP, those obviously are rough, and I guess I'm in the process of talking with them to see if they are wanting to do anything with their tracks and what we can do to make that better. But either way, we're going to do our part, and if they're wanting to replace some of their tracks or level their tracks or replace some of the I'll call it the buffer material leading up to, then that'd be great. Hopefully we can maybe make that all fit, but if not, we'll do our part.
So you said this grant is for $750,000. Is that, is that maxed out at that, or?
So this really isn't, they call it the Surface Transportation Block Grant, but it's really not a grant. It's our surface transportation dollars that are allocated out. It used to be federal dollars, but then the state went through and we did this swap process where now we're using state
Okay.
dollars. So this is our allocation of dollars from the state for that money, basically.
Okay, this is the stuff that gets handled through Region 12 then, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, it used to be called,
Safety Lou, Ice Tea, there was all different ones.
there,
All this
Ice-T,
all-
Ice-T,
Yep.
that's,
Yep.
okay. Do you have an estimate of what that total project cost is gonna be?
2.6 million is what we're estimating right now.
Okay,
Okay, so what do you need here, Zach? A motion to sign that agreement? with
Yep,
the
that's,
DOT?
that's correct.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to allow Zach to sign for project number STBG-SWAP-C014 in parentheses 168 FG14.
And it actually will be the chair signing.
And for Rich. For the Willie Dedham Blacktop resurfacing road.
That's what it's called.
That's specific.
I'll second that.
Plenty.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries.
I'll stop. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Anything
Thanks,
else?
Zach.
That's really all I had for today.
Thanks, Zach.
Okay, next thing up is to discuss the Leadership Iowa program. Stephanie.
So I
wanna
think you
take-
guys received some of the paperwork, and I'll just touch base on this for 1 minute. I'm not gonna, you guys were able to read it, but the Leadership Iowa is an Iowa premier statewide issues awareness program for current and emerging Iowa leaders. The program brings together 40 diverse adult professionals for 8 monthly sessions across the state of Iowa, and provides an in-depth look at a variety of important topics, including economic development, education, government, agriculture, and more. Leadership Iowa exists to educate, inspire, grow a network of informed leaders, and to encourage their ongoing local and statewide involvement to create a better future for Iowans. And I know you guys received an email from Jim Gossick. He was willing to jump on our call today. If you wanted somebody that's been through the program, obviously me, I was accepted, but I have yet to go through it. So there's not a lot of in-depth information that I can give you on what goes on. He was very adamant about doing the program. He also would like to see us in the future budget for maybe sending some of our department heads along as well. With that, you know, it is an application process, so you have to be nominated first by somebody that has gone through the program. And then after you're nominated, you have to fill out an application. And then after that application part, it goes to an application committee. And through that committee, you're chosen. Obviously, 40 people are chosen. And that's at the process I'm at right now. So with your guys's, I mean, I obviously want to open this up to discussion to see how you guys are feeling about this. And I would propose that the county helps me with the tuition and mileage. And then from my end of it, I will take care of all the travel, lodging, and food expenses.
So that totals about $2,400 then, Stephanie,
It's 2,800.
2,800.
Yep. And then I did send you guys the schedule. It's with Plan A, depending on COVID. Session starts in October. And that's in Atlantic. And then In November, it's Sioux Center. December, it's Ottumwa. January, it's Des Moines. March is Quad Cities. April is Mason City. In May is Marshalltown, and in June, it's Iowa City, Coralville. I think you guys received all this, didn't you?
Yes,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
did.
Any questions?
So I'm familiar with this program. This is sponsored by the Association of Business and Industry.
Correct.
And I know somebody personally who has been involved for years in this program. And so I did reach out to that individual and got some information on this whole process. And I think that the Association of Business and Industry is really more manufacturing and industry throughout the state of Iowa. I.e., I know that Sukup Industries and the Tyler family down in Atlantic with Atlantic Bottling are very involved with this. There are elected officials that have done this program, but they haven't done it without some controversy tied to it. I know that councilman in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, endured a lot of scrutiny over this, that the taxpayers should be paying for this as opposed to private industry. Have you gone to your employer and asked your employer to help you with this?
Have I asked them? No.
Pardon me?
Have I asked myself? No. I mean, that would be the part of me paying for the travel and lodging.
Okay.
So you want me to go to Carroll Cleaning Supply and have them?
Well, I mean, if that's where the bulk of your, that would be the most, I would think, the most logical place you would start, I guess. That's what I think. And I think, as far as elected officials, we're 4-year terms, and if you don't get reelected, or if you decide not to run, then we are. What kind of investment was that we made? I guess. And another thing too, I guess I look at one of the ambulance individuals who wanted to improve, and I think it was paramedic, if I'm not mistaken, wanted to borrow dollars, to go to extended education to become a paramedic. And he wanted to borrow the money, and we denied him even to that. I mean, that's an employee who's we logically would like to think is going to stay around a while. And so, under those, it's pretty difficult for me to approve this for that reason. The other thing is, I would say that if you were just reelected, you served a term, the voters reelected you, and you were starting starting your second 4-year term, I think I would be more interested in supporting it. So I don't know. I have a hard time justifying the value of this for the county, I guess. I think it's a very good program, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if the dollar investment would pay off in such a short time. I mean, it could be 2 years, it could be 6 years, or it could be 10 years. I don't know that. And this is kind of the problem that we had with the young individual who wanted to borrow the money from the county to extend his education, is that we didn't know if we were going to get our money back. You know, because things do happen. So I guess that's where I stand on it. The other thing is too, I mean, have you applied for the scholarship?
Applied for the scholarship and what?
Well, it says in your letter here.
There's no scholarship.
So it says, if you submitted a request on your application for a program scholarship, you will receive further details and scholarship form in these materials. So you obviously did not apply for that.
No, I did not.
Okay, so that is another thing that that is out there, and I know that when I talked to this individual, if you were denied, if you were denied support, say from the county on this, you could then apply for that scholarship, and more than likely you would get it, but you wouldn't get the scholarship obviously if you were granted the support from the county. So I guess, you know, I mean, that's the route that I guess I would go, is I would, you know, apply for the scholarship.
You know, and I think too, from what I got from, and I visited with Jim yesterday, this is probably a good program. But I appreciate the fact that you said you would take care of the hotels and meals. I think that's one of the things that would need to be done, is some buy-in by the individual. I would feel more comfortable if this money was being spent on, let's say, a ISAC or a NACO program, which they all have different training programs as well. I think we could justify it more to the taxpayers. I have mixed feelings on this thing, to be honest with you. But last night I was thinking around here, and Courtney, this is a question for you. Would this raise a flag with the auditor if, let's say we put someone through this, and I'm just saying anybody, and they had another employer, would they say that was, would they raise question that employer was getting benefit off taxpayer dollars?
I can't really answer that. I don't know.
I mean, this is something I just thought of last night. I mean, I think there's a question there that needs to be answered. Because I think anybody that would be going to this, it would not only be benefiting the county, but it probably, if they have another employment, it would be benefiting that employment too also. I don't know. And it's just a question. That's the last people I want to have raising red flags. How soon do you have to apply for this, or Stephanie?
It's already done. It's basically all I have left to do is pay for it.
I would like to get Neil's input on this thing myself.
And I do know there are other county supervisors that took the class 2 years ago. So I reached out to Jesse and asked, and their county did help offset the tuition part of it, but they did put some personal investment in it. And Dean, I do understand where you're coming from as far as, you know, re-election and 4 years and things like that. But I hope from my standpoint, it is a commitment for me to show to Carroll County. And I understand I'm an elected official and I may not be re-elected. Let's hope that's not the case. But it is a way of me showing that I want to do better. I want to learn more and I want to grow as a person to help Carroll County. So, but I do understand where you're coming from, and Jean, I understand, and we'll look into that question. And I would like to hear Neil's opinion as well.
Well, I think you need to look into the scholarship thing. I do believe that exists, and you know, I think that's probably a route that I would like to see you take. You know, and this is I encourage you to do this. I'm not discouraging you from doing this, Stephanie. It's truly but it is truly a personal goal. It's truly a personal function. It is going to help you probably, and you want it to, probably going to help you more than anybody else. So,
Yeah, I'm the first one that I think education and keeping up abreast is a good thing myself. I just have these questions I think need to be answered myself. And like I said, I'd like to get Neil's input.
Well, I'd like to put a little input in here also. I look at this as, this is no different than NACO, no different than ISAC. It's a matter of keeping people out in front of committees, looking for cracks that we can get into for economic development. Keeping maybe Western Iowa more in the forefront. And someone that wants to put the energy and time into it, I'm all for that. So I guess I'm not having too big a problem with this program. It's a lot of money, I understand. But I just see it as an opportunity for Carroll County for a long period of time, even if we, we're all subject to being voted out at any given moment. But it's the connections you make and the time that we spend in these really can add up over the years. So I guess, do you want to table this until Neil's back, or is that your plan here?
Yeah, I would like to table it, and that way it gives me time to dig into some of Jean's questions, and then as well as Dean's. And then you wait for Neil to get back.
Yeah, Courtney, could you present that to the auditors as a hypothetical question, see what their thoughts are on that?
Okay.
I'd just be curious on that. I don't know why I even thought this last night, and I think it's probably a good program. I'm glad that you're willing to share some of the cost on it. I think that shows buy-in, because I think I think the taxpayers sometimes don't see it the way we do once in a while, but that's beside the point. But I know some counties, they send everybody to the goddamn NACO annual meetings and stuff, and I don't know how they get by with that.
I wondered that too myself.
I mean, we'd be hung from a yard arm.
But I see the advantage to it.
I do too. Like I said, I'm always been one that's been in favor of additional education when it's truly used for that, not just something to do.
Yeah,
and I think that's where she, by providing her sharing some of that cost, does show that interest, I think.
And I'll be honest with you, I thought that the access that Iowa, that when we go to Washington, D.C., sometimes I have thought that is probably not a worthwhile thing that we belong into, because sometimes it's been used as a generation for a business, in particular business. And I've questioned that a couple of times, but I've kind of just stayed away from that subject. But like I said, and now that I think about these a little bit more, I think every crack, every time we can get a person or a opinion in there, just benefits the region. Okay, so I guess we'll plan on tabling that until next week, and hopefully everybody will be here. If not, we'll just table it till next Monday, till Monday. Do you know, is Neil, his email to me said he wouldn't make this meeting, but he didn't make mention of the next one. So I think let's just table it until the next meeting, till Monday.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Well, we have 3 minutes and this Hobbit thing won't take 2. If you want to do that first.
Okay.
Keep things going, I guess. So everybody got my email?
Yes, for the CARES Act and the application for requesting some funding for
Yeah.
elections.
Carroll County is eligible to receive $18,400 based on our size and polling places, etc. So my request, I'm going to request the full amount. I'm going to use those dollars to pay back the county for the plexiglass we bought for the polling places. And that money will be available for general election expenses. So if we have more postage, we have more absentee workers, we have more poll workers, we have cleaning supplies, all that stuff that we may need to buy, we can use that. I'm also going to purchase what's called an OVCS Mini. And what that is it's a scanner that is similar to our optical scans we use at the polling places, but it will read 50 ballots very quickly. When we had our last big election, we were crunched to get those ballots through our scanners by 9 o'clock because the scanners aren't real fast. I mean, they take it and you wait a second and then it feeds it. These will be quicker. And when I talked to Adkins, we were one of just a few counties that didn't have one. There's $7,800, which is why I never even thought to buy one. But if I can use this money to purchase one that's going to benefit us in this general election with the increased absentees, but in the future as well, because absentees aren't going away. They've increased every election we've had. And I think as our population gets older, it's going to continue. So if I can use this HAVA money for that, I think it's a good thing. The reason I kind of put a rush on this is the deadline is September 11th. So there is a letter that I sent you guys that I'm sending them. It basically just states because of additional staffing, postage, the OBSC Mini, the barriers we purchased. We'll also need to purchase cleaning supplies, masks, gloves, and additional items for safety of voters and workers. So there is a very good chance that that $18,400 won't all get spent. That's a lot of money. And the only thing is if you don't spend it, you do have to send it back. Which, I mean, that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
But I wanted to apply for the full amount because you never know what can come up. And anyway, that's that. I hope I didn't. Oh, I went over. It's 10:01.
Okay.
So I'm looking for basically approval for me to apply for this and to authorize the chair to sign the grant agreement, which is what I sent you in that email.
I'll make a motion that we approve this and authorize the chair to sign it.
I'll second.
I think you got a good plan there, Courtney.
Okay, well, call for the vote. Any more discussion?
Well, my only question is, you have to apply for it. Is there any chance that you'll be denied?
I don't think so. The Secretary of State allotted a certain dollar amount for every county. Sounds like every county is going to get theirs. I mean, you have to write a letter saying what you're going to use it for, but every county is going to be using it for the same thing. Increased absentees and cleaning supplies, personal protective equipment. So I don't foresee it, but I'm not going to buy anything until I get this money.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Dean, to answer part of your, I think being they have this set on per capita basis, that's a pretty good sign that it's a kind of an automatic, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure they have it budgeted. So do you think you can get this scanner in time?
Yes.
From
Yeah, I
Atkins?
talked to the guy at Atkins yesterday. He put in our order. And I said, what happens if I don't get the HAVA money, and he goes, we'll have to work that out.
Okay,
As he kind of chuckled, so it made it seem to me that if we can't get the HAVA money to pay for it, and the county doesn't want to use any other funds to pay for it, we can probably return it, was my,
Okay.
that's the understanding I got from him. I mean, before we use it, obviously, we would have to know before the election, but
right.
I'm sure the money will be available before the election, because that's the whole reason they're giving us this money to help pay for that.
Oh, okay, any more discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? Motion carries. All right, it's 10:03, and I'm gonna go ahead and open the public hearing for the emergency radio system loan. First of all, Carl, is there anybody that wants to comment on this? We'll give them a few minutes and then you can tell me, because that will be delayed. Courtney, did you have any written?
No,
Okay. Okay. So what we're looking for today is this, is to approve this loan agreement. Looks like the chair will sign. And the board members that were present today will have to probably be listed. I don't think you have to sign. I don't think, Courtney, is that right? Just myself?
yeah, you'll sign, after we close the hearing, we'll do the resolution, and you would sign the resolution.
Okay,
The purpose of the hearing is to enter into a loan agreement for the purpose of refunding the outstanding balance of the county's lease purchase agreement relating to the acquisition of emergency communication system. So, it says refunding, I get that, but to me, it makes more sense to think of it as we're kind of refinancing it.
Yes.
Now we're financed with Motorola, and we've been made aware from DA Davidson that we can refinance that and use bonds, and it's a lot less interest. And I can't remember, was it a couple $100,000 he thought we would save?
was nearly 200,000, yes.
So that's the reason we're doing this.
Okay. Carl, any comments offline yet?
No,
Okay. I'm going, any more discussion?
You guys have any comments? No
Okay.
comments here either, so.
Okay, so it's 10:05. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And then I guess I'm looking for a motion to go ahead and move forward with this loan agreement and to replace the lease agreement that we had with Motorola.
I'll make that
make
motion.
Okay, I got Stephanie on it first and Jean
Go
at second. Okay, any more discussion on that? Okay, that will probably be a roll call.
Ruggles,
Yes.
Miners,
Yes.
sorry, Shetler,
Yes.
Houseman.
Yes,
A motion carries. Like you said, Rich, there is a place for you to sign on the resolution.
Okay, I'll be in after a bit. Like I said, I gotta do a pharmacy run. I'll stop and sign.
You'll be
those.
busy. There's like 4 things you need to sign now, so.
I'll bring my pen. Okay. Seeing nothing else, I guess we're ready to move on to committee reports.
Back up on this resolution. What did he say the last time was the amount we was gonna save on was like 175,000?
That was an estimate. Yeah, I said it changes all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, and I've been trying to watch the bond rates, and I don't think they've moved much in the last 10 days. So I assume we're going to be pretty close in that. Okay, committee reports.
I can go first.
All right, Gene.
Let me get my calendar brought up here so I don't miss anything. All right. Actually, this last week, the only thing I had was yesterday, I had a CADC board meeting, and Ryan Murphy from Iowa Workforce was there, and basically gave a presentation on the labor shed report, and talked about how they put those figures together and what all goes into compiling that thing, which is a lot of different avenues. This week, I really don't have anything else going on except for that I will be doing the radio and the newspaper for the last 2 weeks. And one other thing I will comment that I did get here a while back, I was at that Grassley function here where he had the question and answers, and I asked a question about volunteer EMS, and I did get a follow-up on that. They want me to put something together and send that to them. So I will be following up on that. I've got some people trying to get me some figures together. The other thing that I've also had comments this last week on, just so you guys are aware of it, Dawn Myers reached out to me. She will be sending Courtney a proposal. They are wanting to, they had talked about this pre-COVID, the potential of doing a 2-mile radius around zoning around the city of Manning. This all came about in the place when we approved that last zoning where those houses were on the southwest part of the county. They're just like to get a little more input on that and have a little more control. So they will be sending us a proposal. So I'm just letting you a heads up on that. That may be coming down the road here. So.
So, and she is scheduled to meet with the board regarding this on the 21st.
On the 21st, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will forward this to the zoning department because I didn't read it until now.
All right. That's my week.
For a few more minutes. Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Okay, thanks, Gene. I'll go ahead and go next. My meeting last week was pretty light. I did join a WIOA workforce statewide call. And it's just the progress of all the workforce regions of how we're doing and where we're at. And everybody seems to be pretty much in line. We're down to the local boards that will actually run some of the workforce stuff, and the CEO boards that myself is on will be kind of taking a more of a backseat to this. We were here just pretty much to make sure the organization fit all county needs. And it sure looks like it's going to the way it is. And this is kind of a board that was out there before. It's industry leaders that are set on these boards that help with the education of particular company may have that they would like to see their employees be trained in. So that's all going well. That's all I had last week. This afternoon, I thought maybe I'd jump on the CARES webinar from ISAC to see how that, if there's any regulations. And Courtney, have you decided whether you're going to try to listen in on that also? It's got.
Does that start at 3?
Yes.
I have another appointment at 3, so.
Okay.
I did sign up for it because I wasn't sure when my appointment was. But.
That's fine. I just kind of want to listen in a little bit on that and make sure that we don't miss any hoop to jump through. Then tomorrow I have Region 12, and there's a development corporation and also the executive board that will be tomorrow. And other than that, that's it for me this week.
I can go real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay. Last week I had a daycare meeting. They're down 1 enrollment, which with the times right now, that's going pretty well. Obviously, everything's a little fluid there. They have to stay on top of the schools and transportation, but they did get a new hire for the preschool class, Jessica Mowry. That's really exciting. They're really excited. She's gonna do a great job. New business for them. They did have 2 kids out, but it's because the parents have tested positive with COVID. So they will be staying home 14 days. And then I was on the emergency coalition meeting with Dean, and I'll let him touch base on what went over there as far as some of the positive cases that are throughout the Carroll County area, what some business entities are having to do. I find it intriguing that one entity has to test, and Dean, you can correct me if I was wrong, but did they say twice a day?
No, not twice a day.
Twice a week?
Yeah, twice a week.
And it was costing somewhere around $7,000 a week.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was be a lot for a business to take in, especially if you're a private entity. This week I have, you guys will see you got an email, just a heads up, the supervisor's legislative recommendation. There will be a webinar on the 15th at 1 o'clock to go over the recommendations from ISAC. And then Friday, just the emergency coalition at 10 o'clock again.
Okay, so I had no official meetings last week. However, I spent quite a bit of time on Zoom meetings and phone calls over the COVID-19 thing and the Board of Health. We did talk to IDPH on some of the things that are going on here in Carroll County, the high numbers resulting in a lot of contact tracing. And I'm not going to address that right now. We have a Board of Health meeting on, well, I guess tomorrow, and we'll cover that then. But yeah, the high numbers have caused a few issues. And I think that the testing that that Stephanie was talking about was the care facilities and the testing of their employees. And I think it's because of the high rate of positivity right now in Carroll County. Last I heard, it was around 18%. If they get down below, I believe it's 10%, but I could be wrong there.
Yeah.
Then they can test just once a week. So if I got that right, I guess I didn't put that down.
I remember the 10%.
Yeah. So there's a lot of concern right now. I got some cold weather this morning. A lot of people are inside, and so the outside events will probably be coming to a close, and which could probably spur some spread. So I guess that's all I really have in this week. All I have is the Board of Health meeting on Thursday and the Emergency Coalition meeting on Friday.
Just a point, Courtney, I was up the other day to sign that other resolution, and Courtney showed me the local option sales tax. I was very surprised in the figures that we're getting. We're higher than what we were a year ago. So I just wanted you to all be aware of that. I think that's
good news.
Yeah, it speaks highly for our retail sales, I think.
Is that also not this the first year of taxation on internet sales also? There was something added in there, but yeah, I've seen those numbers, and I was quite encouraged that we're doing a little better than I anticipated we were. So, but I think it's something we need to keep our eye on the ball on that one, though. That could change. Courtney, do you have anything else?
Not for today. Next week is a bill day. We'll canvass the 2 elections we had yesterday. We'll talk more about the Leadership Iowa program. Probably should talk about the IT position. I believe you all received the email I sent with kind of an estimate of what if the salary was this and this is the benefits.
Correct.
So I probably should have had it on the agenda this week, but I missed that. So we'll get it on for the 14th. And I'm still waiting on John on the local planning and administrative contract for that housing program. I had sent it to him a couple weeks ago, and then Friday before the board meeting last week, I asked him if he had a chance to review it. He said he just got it. So I still haven't heard anything. So I know the Region 12 is probably waiting for this. So I plan on sending John another email just to see if he's had time to take a look at it. So,
Okay,
so hopefully I can get that on the agenda too, so we can get that taken care of.
Okay. Carl, any comments?
No comments.
Very good. All right.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Courtney, Stephanie, and Carl, thank you for being there today.